This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to
Welcome to the Junkyard Pod. I'm Tony Pesta, joined by Jackson Flickinger and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They won another game. They beat the LA Clippers tonight, 120-105. Donovan Mitchell with one of the more effortless 37-point games I've ever seen. Just really lit them up from all angles. Jackson, what's your takeaway from this game?
My takeaway is Danny Cunningham might have a better camera to record off of than us, because this court is bright.
We tried to steal, if you guys are also fans of the Lockdown, which you should be, Lockdown Cavs, we tried to steal Danny's spot tonight.
Yeah.
Doesn't work the same because we're recording off of a MacBook and he's using his phone, but
could be the NBA Cup court. Maybe the NBA
darker,
the NBA Cup court is for influencers like us, the podcasters of the world. That's who Adam Silver was thinking of.
What's your take on the basketball that was played tonight?
Gotcha. The basketball that was played tonight. Donovan Mitchell's underappreciated 37 points, 14 of 22 shooting. 14 of 22 shooting. Just really getting anywhere he wanted on the court. The Clippers have a pretty poor defense. They came into this game 27th in defensive rating, but Mitchell's ability to really they had nobody that could stay with him on the perimeter. Anytime he wanted to get inside, it was just like two dribbles, and he made the whole defense collapse. That allowed him to get to the mid-range shot, which he did a million. He had a bunch of these
We've become very familiar with those.
The Dwayne Wades, I'll call them Dwayne Wades. Yeah. He had a bunch of Dwayne Wades in there. That floater was working. He even got to the mid-range, got to the rim. And then that also, when you're getting inside that effortlessly, it opened up the three-point shot. So he was able to get a lot of nice off-the-dribble threes. He's playing at an MVP level. I think that the season that he's had is being underappreciated just because of all the other talking points, like Evan Mobley's weird games, the Cavs offense kind of sucking, not hitting any shots. Like, there's been a lot of other things to talk about when you talk about this team. So Donovan Mitchell's MVP level season that we've seen so far is not one of them. However, that does not make his start to the season any less impressive. He can't control what the talking points are, and Donovan Mitchell is playing at an MVP level. And I know he's probably not an MVP candidate just because there's been a lot of really good starts to the season. Thinking of Giannis, thinking of Jokic, SGA.
They might win 70 games.
They're like 15-1 or something like that. So there's been a lot of really good individual performances. And Donovan Mitchell probably should be more in that conversation than he currently is. Yeah. I mean, 37 points on 22
shots,
like 5 of
9 from three,
and
8 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, he's having one of the most prolific scoring seasons in Cavalier history, one of the best all-around seasons from a Cavalier. You don't even have to say not named LeBron James. This is one of the best starts to a season any Cavaliers had. Now, he's not better than LeBron, obviously. I don't even have to say that, but this isn't like you don't have to add that qualifier. He's actually just playing that incredible right now. He is doing it all across the board. The last few games really chipping in on the glass, too. The playmaking isn't always what we want it to be at the start of the year, but 6 assists tonight. We'll talk more about Darius Garland being back in a second. But, I mean, as you kind of mentioned already, he's checking every single box. He's getting to the rim. He's hitting threes. He's scoring from the mid-range. He's protecting himself all while doing it. He's not hitting the floor every other possession. He's deliberately gone out of his way to take layups instead of dunks, to do floaters instead of getting all the contact at the rim. And I think long-term, listen, there's literally no way to predict whether or not this team will be healthy in April, but there's certain steps that you can take, and there's a process that you can follow that should give you the best chance. And Donovan Mitchell, almost another thing going unnoticed is how well he's adapted that to his game and understands I got to be healthy when the playoffs start, so I am going to change how I play. There was a play, I think in the first half, where he turned the corner, got into the paint, and he could have easily, I think Nick Batum was rotating very late. He could have gone up, tomahawk jam, poster dunk, but he just laid it up. And that, to me, I was like, I think 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, Donovan Mitchell probably tries to dunk that. This season, he's just laying it up. And I really appreciate that long-term thinking.
And I think one of the things that his playmaking sort of gets better with Darius on the floor because 6 assists tonight. I think one of the things that Darius brings is really hard to like really quantify is just a level of ball movement, just with how much he moves the ball and how much he can manipulate and shift the defense. It's sort of just when the defense is unstable and it's unstable from multiple spots, not just where Donovan directly is. It's easier to see these openings, and I think Mitchell is doing a really good job of seeing the openings and getting the ball there. And I think that was really on display tonight. I mean, and then doing this also with just 2 turnovers as well. I think this was just a phenomenal game from Mitchell, and it's not the first time he's had that. And I think we've probably not talked about it as much because sometimes when somebody makes something like this look effortless, and pretty weird.
That sounds harsh, but we were interrupted as Jackson was making a point. He was talking about how we often overlook Donovan Mitchell.
Yes, and I think it's easy to overlook when somebody's made something look so routine for such an extended period of time. It's easy to overlook just how impressive and how impactful that is. But we shouldn't overlook that. A shooting guard who can score 30-plus points anytime you need him to and do it rather efficiently is not the norm. And he really is. I mean, he is the best shooting guard in the league, and I think that's pretty clear. And it's just another impressive performance from Donovan Mitchell. And if you have him playing at this level, you have a chance in any game that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we hyper fixate on with the Cavs that, like you said, we kind of just take for granted how amazing Donovan Mitchell is. We can't do that. To go back to something you were mentioning too, and we'll transition this to talk about Darius Garland, there is a trickle-down effect when Darius Garland's on the floor. Even on a night like tonight where 8 points on 3 of 10 shooting, it's nothing too impressive. 8 assists is from Darius Garland, but him being on the floor moves Donovan Mitchell from being your primary playmaker to your complementary playmaker, and he is so much better at that role. That's where you really see him pop. Think about those first 12, 15 games when Darius Garland wasn't out there. The opposing team's defense felt stagnant, and that's bad for your offense. When the defense isn't moving, when they're just completely set in their shell and no one can get them out of that shell, everything else is harder. And so that's where you had nights where Donovan Mitchell scores 30, 40 points, and it feels like he's carrying the weight of the entire team on his back. Tonight he had 37 points, and you might not have even noticed he got up to 37 because it happened so effortlessly. And a big part of that, not giving Darius Garland all the credit here, because obviously Mitchell is the one who scored 37, but Darius being out there gets the defense on their back heels. It gets them moving. It opens up paths for Evan Mobley to have a big second half, for Donovan Mitchell to find his scoring, for other guys to step in and have nice shooting nights. And so Darius Garland being back is, you just watch the way this team plays offense, and it's night and day different. I don't know what the numbers are, but tonight, 28 assists on, the assists per game when Darius is there. Numbers. The impact numbers are all great. I'm sure the Cavs are averaging more assists per game when he's out there because 28 assists on 45 field goals tonight. Donovan and Darius combined for 14 of those. The ball just moves better when Darius Garland's on the court.
And this wasn't even a good Darius Garland game. 3 for 10 from the field, 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
So not a good Darius Garland game by his standards, but just his ability to move the ball just changes the dynamic of this team, honestly. And I wish that we got to see this against a better defense because the Clippers are really bad.
James
and
Harden's
I do think
a defensive stopper.
So the thing with the Clippers is that I don't think a lot of these guys are cooked, but if you put them all on the same team, the team may be cooked though. Yeah. Like James Harden on a non-cooked team would be very good. Kawhi Leonard on a non-cooked team would be good. Zubac is not cooked at all.
Zubac went crazy.
Brook Lopez,
18 rebounds, 33 points.
If you put just put Brook Lopez on the New York Knicks, that would be like he would be phenomenal with them. So it's just, but when you put them all on the same team, you get kind of a cooked team, and just in a league that's going faster, you can't be this old and slow. So it is sort of. You do kind of want to preface everything with
the context.
Yeah, and like the Cavs, I thought the Cavs played pretty well, but the Clippers sucked.
It was nice. I think this is maybe the first time all season where it didn't feel like the opposing team just tried to run Cleveland off the floor, like in terms of just a track meet up and down, up and down. The Clippers were like, hey, let's slow this down, guys. And the Cavs, I felt, actually dictated the terms of engagement here, which is so important. And it's something that I think it's been hard for them to do that this year, in part because I'm not entirely sure if they know what their identity is, especially if Darius Garland's not out there. And other teams have just played fast, and it's hard to establish anything when you're going up and down. I think even I forget which game it was, but afterwards Kenny mentioned that like it is hard to establish your identity and get into any specific, deliberate purpose on offense when you're just running up and down every play.
Yeah. Thank you for the spot, Danny. We appreciate it.
Live?
Yeah. Well, not live.
He just lied to you.
Yeah, I did lie. As in, we're recording.
Well, good.
But
don't cut this out.
It'll be in. It'll make the final cut.
Please.
Danny's not that important. I don't know why we would keep that in. Anyways, Clippers have lost 10 of the last 12 games, so they are
in a very bad position. I do want to.
One thing.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
The thing that I want to touch on, because the thing that's probably the only important thing from this game, not the only, but one of the most important things from this game is Evan Mobley. Kind of a weird Mobley game. If you look at the box score, 18 points plus 26, 2 steals, two blocks, 18 points on 9 to 12 shooting. It's like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good Mobley game. But then when you watch it, the first half was really rough. He missed 4 free throws. His shot looks a little wonky.
He airballed 2 threes tonight.
So but then in the second half, he scored 12 points in the second half, and I feel like he only missed 1 field goal in the second half. So he really turned it around and got it in a lot more efficient spots. And also, at the same time, Zubac did kind of push him around a little bit. And I know he's somebody who you do want to double team, but it is kind of, you would matchup. Like Mobley to be a little better in that matchup. So it's just kind of a weird Mobley game in what has been a weird Mobley season. Trying to use him in different ways, always trying to go back. Kenny talked about before the game, trying to find the balance of Evan Mobley. And it's like, we're getting a more efficient Evan Mobley the last couple games, but I don't think this is the Evan Mobley you want for the playoffs. So just something to keep an eye on. It's been weird. I anticipated being weird tomorrow. I anticipated being weird next week. You just hope in January, you're like, okay, we can see the vision. February, maybe you see good play with that vision. March, April, hopefully you're getting somebody who can be a truly dominant and impactful player on both sides of the ball. We're seeing that in spurts, but the vision, I don't know what the vision is, but I don't know what they think the best version of Evan Mobley is, which makes it hard for us to judge oh, was this a good Evan Mobley game or not? Because it's it's sort of been all over the map.
Yeah, there's 2 versions of Evan Mobley. There's the play creator, Evan Mobley, so scoring off of his own, his own shot creation. And then there's play finisher, Evan Mobley, which is getting an offensive rebound and putting it back in the hoop, catching the ball around the rim and dunking it. What balance is the ultimate Evan Mobley? Is it going to be 70% play finisher, 30% play creator? Where do you end up putting the scales? That's something that I would love to know from Kenny Atkinson's perspective. Where do you want that to be? Where is it right now, and where do you want it to be? Because I think we've seen that scale kind of slide drastically both directions throughout this season. I will say I walked away from this game feeling much more positive about Evan Mobley than I thought I was going to be, because that first half was just kind of not really out there, it felt like. The air ball 3, the 4 missed free throws, it didn't feel good. But then when you look at it, and I'm not just trying to do the box score watching, and Jackson already read it out, but it ends up being 18 points on super efficient shooting, 10 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Sure, Zubac had a big night, but the Cavs ended up winning the rebounding battle, so it all worked out. I still think the Cavs are probably leaning a little I wouldn't say farther away, but not leaning deep enough into him creating for himself, which is what you're going to need in the playoffs, which is what they continue to tell us. So I still think that's something that they're trying to do. I will say, though, I do think there is value in saying, hey, you know what? forget any player comps that you want to throw at Evan Mobley. Let's just look at who is Evan Mobley and what is he best at. He's really damn good when you get him the ball around the rim. And so if you have a Cavs team that is playing with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and they're hitting their three-point shots, and the floor is opened up, and he's making a point, Evan Mobley's making a point to cut into open space, get the ball, and go up with authority, I love seeing that. I still want him to get his opportunities to create for himself, but if we get a hyperactive off-ball Evan Mobley, I think there's a lot of really good stuff in there. The important part, sometimes if you go back to the Indiana series, is do the guards continue to get him involved? Does he continue to make himself available? And when you get into those scenarios where against Indiana, the three-point shot's not falling, the guards aren't scoring, can you then have Evan Mobley step up and take the torch and lead you to a win, even if it's just 1 or 2 games out of a series? The early results of that at the start of the year weren't great. I hope that now that he has had, I want to say 3 or 4 games where he's really shot the ball efficiently, he's looked really good on offense, play finishing, maybe that gets you some confidence back. The free throw thing is weird. It is what it is, but he definitely has seemed like he's in his head at the start of the year. Maybe stringing a couple good games together where you are scoring efficiently, you're dunking everything. Now give Mobley the ball and let him run an inverted pick and roll. I think maybe building that confidence could be something to keep an eye on.
And this does speak to how good Mobley is. I think the best players, and you get this all the time when you're talking about rookies, like, for example, rookie Kevin Porter Jr. It's going to be a weird one, so stay with me.
I did not expect
rookie Kevin Porter Jr.
to come up today.
He would have like 2 or 3 baskets a game where you're like, that was incredible. The way he could create space and the way he could, that finish, like that was James Harden-esque. And like, then you look back at the box score and it's like 2 for 7, 6 points. And it's like, that's not the sign of a good player. The sign of a great player is somebody who can make a lot of baskets look really effortless, where you look down and you're like, oh, Evan Mobley has 18 points. That's crazy. It felt like he had 2.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of a great player. And that's sort of also why Evan Mobley needs to continue that skill set, because he gets so many easy baskets. It's like, well, what if we leverage that to get him to the point where he can get his own baskets and stuff like that? That's where this becomes a 24, 25 point night. And then you're looking at somebody who is an Evan Mobley that scores 25 points tonight, averages 11 rebounds, 4 assists. That's an MVP caliber player. And it's like, can Evan Mobley get there? So like we saw in the beginning of the season, where if you're trying to run through Evan Mobley, he was not ready for that through 5 games. Yeah. And then they pulled the plug. And then this version of Evan Mobley is good enough to be an all-NBA player. But is an all-NBA player, Evan Mobley, good enough to win a championship? It wasn't last year. That doesn't mean it's not going to be this year if everyone's healthy. But I'd like to see just a little bit more. So it's just been a weird start to the season.
I'd like to see a little bit more. There has been a joke going around on Twitter, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, that Mobley has been giving everyone the same 18-8 for like 4 years now. They're calling him 18-8. So that's basically what he does every game. He almost did it tonight. He had an extra 2 rebounds there. But the thing is, to what you were saying, he gets those 18 really easily. And that's good. The more easy points you can get, the better. You don't have to get deep in your bag and have Evan Mobley shoot contested threes for him to be an MVP. But with this 18 easy points that he's able to get basically every night, can you add 5 or 6 more points to that? That's where all of a sudden you go from, he's like a second team all-NBA guy on a good season to, hey, he's kind of, is he the best player on this team now? Like in a season where Donovan Mitchell's the best shooting guard in the league, is Evan Mobley in that conversation? I think we can get there. I hope that the Cavs at some point will push Mobley back into that spotlight a little bit more. I think the start of the season, it's possible that we will look back at those first 10 games and be like, that was really weird when they had no offensive rhythm. Darius Garland was out. The team was beat up. Mobley was shooting really inefficiently. And then you look in April and it's like, well, now all this makes more sense. And Mobley is stepping outside of his comfort zone to a reasonable degree. Whereas at the start, it was a little, I think Kenny before the game said it was off kilter. The balance was off. We're still finding that balance.
And we could also get to the end of the season and say, you know what? The Cavs needed more from Evan Mobley at the end. He had this mismatch against insert mediocre forward here, and he just couldn't beat it because he just wasn't ready to do so. And it would have been cool if, even though those first 10 games were rough, that they just kind of kept going down that path, because then maybe, maybe when Josh Hart got switched on to him, he could dunk him through the basket. So that's where it's like we don't want to have that conversation.
Exactly. We want to wrap up the Mobley discussion. It's better for him to get these reps in now because when you get to April, you don't want him trying to do something he's never done before. Mm-hmm. I do want to mention very quickly, we talked about how Donovan Mitchell goes a little overlooked. I think it's worth mentioning DeAndre Hunter. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He's having the best season of his career in terms of playmaking and rebounding. Add in the fact that he's still scoring the ball pretty efficiently on a nightly basis. It's the best season of his career. I'm not going to sit here and act like he's all of a sudden, getting near triple doubles or anything, but he is chipping in on all the small things that the Cavs have asked him to do and really needed him to do when they got him last season. DeAndre Hunter, can you get a rebound? Can you just make the extra pass? That's what we asked. And this season he said, I can do that to a reasonable degree.
Let's not get carried away.
To a reasonable degree. He's like, I can do it a few times. Yeah. I won't, I'm not going to get a double-double, but I can do it a few times. Yeah, I'll crash the glass 4 times tonight. He had more rebounds the other night too. Tonight wasn't like the best example, but I just think he's really stepped up in those regards and polished some of the finer aspects of his game. And it's getting to the point, it's kind of been at the point where he might be part of the core 4. It might be DeAndre Hunter's part of the core 4. I love Jarrett Allen. It's semantics, he's really filled in as the starting small forward to perfection.
I'll just say there's a reason why Jarrett Allen's not closing any game. Like he's literally not closing any games, and he's hardly playing in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And he's basically being used as you would use like
your 5th most important player.
Yeah, maybe your 6th most important player. Like he's almost like a glorified backup center at this point, which is something. No,
that might be too far, but that's how they're using him.
So like he's at like about 24-ish minutes a game, and like he's playing kind of the same amount of minutes as Dean Wade is.
Yeah, and we talked about it last episode. I really don't understand why, because I think Allen's been pretty good this season.
But I think this is just where I think, and what coaches say and what coaches do are two separate things. If you ask Kenny, what's Jarrett Allen's role in this team? How important is he to this team? Oh, Jarrett Allen's a member of the core 4. I love Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen's great. The actions say something very different. Mm-hmm. The actions, and especially we didn't pod after the last game. Kenny chose to close with Darius, Donovan, Lonzo, Hunter, and Mobley. And Allen was not available, but I think that is the group that will be closing. If you're playing a meaningful playoff game in New York and you're up 3 late, that's the 5 guys on the court. I think that this is something to keep an eye on going forward. Obviously, Lonzo didn't play today. But I think that's just going to be like the normal closing lineup, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And then that becomes a very awkward conversation with Jarrett Allen, because why are you paying somebody that much money if they're not a part of your 5 best players or your 5 ideal closing players in a salary cap sport where you're already in the second apron? So, but that's not a conversation for right now. But I think, I did bring it up now. So I guess it is a conversation for now. But like we can talk about that more later. Yeah. But like Hunter playing well, I think is good. And also, did Kawhi Leonard pass the torch to DeAndre Hunter today?
Multiple torches were passed.
Multiple
today.
Torches.
Kawhi Leonard to DeAndre Hunter.
Chris Paul to Tyrese Proctor. Speaking of Tyrese Proctor, I think Tyrese Proctor played pretty well.
He did.
I think he scored 10 points in the first quarter or something like that. So, and he finished with 11. So, but I think Kenny said it best after the game, where like he's a 1st-round pick and we've had no conversation about him playing with the Charge. I think there could be conversations about him playing with the Charge when Greg Porter Jr., Max Strus, Lonzo Ball, Jarrett Allen. Who else am I missing? There's one other person. Anyways, when those
Merrill.
4. Sam Merrill. When those 5 players are available, Tyrese Proctor will have no minutes, and he will likely be playing with the Cleveland Charge. However, I think it does get to the point. I think Kenny's point is still accurate in the sense that, like, when he's on the floor, you're not like, this guy needs to kind of work on some things with the Charge. You're like, oh, yeah, this guy can give you good minutes. Mm-hmm. He could improve a little bit. Like, there is obviously room to improve, but very good 3 assists. Like, that's exactly what you want to see from from someone in his position, a 2nd-round draft pick.
Yeah. He just steps right in, fills in exactly what they needed from him. Hit a couple threes tonight. can play off the catch, can attack a closeout. Another guy who yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
We're gonna talk to somebody else.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, I'll just finish that thought. Another guy who not nearly to the same degree as Darius Garland, but can get the defense to shift. He can catch off he can catch it, they close out, he can get into the paint and kick it out. You don't get that from everyone, right? Like, teams don't close out hard to Craig Porter Jr. Teams don't close out hard to Jalen Tyson. They are closing out hard to Tyrese Proctor, and he's been able to play off the dribble a little bit, right? Again, it's not just similar effect is all I'm saying.
He does have one of the quickest triggers on the team in the sense that, like, I have an opening, this ball's flying.
Yeah.
So, and
He's
you
a
really
quick
do
decision
like
maker.
that. And I think that one of the best things you can say about a rookie is that you don't notice him when he's on the court. Because, like, we do a lot of when you're covering a game, you do a lot of writing during the game, so you miss some substitutions sometimes.
Yeah.
And, like, when you look up, you're not like, dude, what is this guy doing out there? Like, he's out of place. The ball stopping. Like, that's
They're
and
calling
then
it
when
the
you
Larry
do,
Nance
and
Jr.
then when
minutes.
you do, you're like, this guy probably shouldn't be on the court. But you're not getting those with Tyrese Proctor. He fits in seamlessly, and I think that's really good.
Tyrese was really good tonight. Very quickly, rapid fire. Luke Travers Island. You can come out of the cave. The sun is out. The rain has stopped. You might not have long. So get out, get the resources that you need, and get ready for the winter. This was his first played actual minutes in the NBA. Only 14 minutes, but he was in not garbage time, and he was good. Like, he actually did some good things. He got a steal. He hit a three. Played decent defense. Listen, we're not saying he's going to be in the rotation, but it was pretty cool to see him out there and have an impact.
I think it was one of those 47-degree days where the sun is behind the clouds, the UV's at 1, but you can go outside.
The wind is only at 12 miles per hour.
It's hospitable. Sure.
It was a good game from Luke Travers.
I don't have anything to add
Naquan
here.
Tomlin hit his first three of the season. Naquan hit his first three.
1
he
for
had
15.
Big block on James Harden, a nice dunk where he kind of cradled it. Again, similar to Tyrese, he's not going to get minutes every night when this team is healthy. He's still on the 2-way contract, but when he's out there, he continues to make things happen. I mean, he's been a lot of fun to watch. Very athletic, runs the floor, plays hard as hell, has a lot of energy, a lot of I don't want to just reuse toughness, but he is clearly someone who. He's one of the few players on this roster who is 6'8" and plays with that anger to him. Like Max Strus plays with it, Donovan Mitchell plays with it. I think Tomlin is the only person above 6'3" that plays with that energy.
I think if you're running with someone or working out with someone, and someone is really into this whole running thing, and they're actually doing it, they can push you even when you don't want to keep running. And I feel like Naquan Tomlin is if he's on the floor, he's just one of those guys that well, I have to make this extra rotation because I see this guy's just, doing insane stuff, playing out of his mind, playing his hair is on fire. And I think teams need guys like that. And I think that I know it's not always a great comparison one-to-one, but he should be in front of Larry Nance Jr. in the rotation. Obviously, if Dean Wade is out, that's Larry Nance Jr. becomes kind of the backup center-ish, and that's not something Tomlin can play. But assuming Wade is healthy, it should be Tomlin in front. Tomlin should be getting the minutes that Nance was getting at the beginning of the season.
And I think he has been recently.
Wanted to underscore that.
21 minutes tonight for Tomlin. I don't want to go too deep into Nance right now, but just to because we mentioned it, the minutes just haven't been great.
They speak for themselves.
I thought last game against who'd they play last game?
Another crappy team. Indiana.
I almost said Memphis for some reason. I thought his minutes against Indiana were okay. They were okay. They were passable. Tonight is another situation where it didn't look that good. It didn't look that good. And so I don't know, maybe at some point in the season he'll hit his stride, but right now it's been disappointing. I'll say that.
What I will say without piling on is that the cliff comes faster for guys who are undersized at their position. Larry Nance Jr. Is very athletic. The best version of Larry Nance Jr. is very athletic, but he's not tall for his position.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an exceptionally wide wingspan for his position, and he's not strong for his position. And those things allow you to age gracefully. Think of LeBron James. tall for his position.
Yeah.
No, but like,
Well, yeah.
Like this is obviously not comparing him, but
Mhm.
like LeBron is big, LeBron is strong, LeBron is aging well. You know, like the
Mhm.
guys who do age well are usually like that. And then when you get somebody who doesn't have those skills, they usually don't age well. And this is kind of the life cycle of an NBA player in his position.
Mhm.
Like the most extreme example is Isaiah Thomas is very small for his position. When he lost
That
half
burst,
a step,
yeah.
it's over. He went from being an MVP candidate to not an NBA player.
Yeah.
And obviously we're using very extreme examples here, but Larry Nance Jr. as a role player, he basically has to be perfect and kind of remake his game into something that he wasn't at his best. And when he's not like if he's a 3-point specialist, that changes the conversation. But when he's not a 3-point specialist, then he's not able to move the ball as well. And then the issues like the rebounding becomes a bigger issue, kind of like how it is. So I don't anticipate this changing unless he just becomes an excellent 3-point shooter again. So I think this is just sort of, it is what it is. And we're happy Larry Nance Jr. is on the team because he is, you know,
locker room
local,
stuff matters. Yeah.
You know, a local legend, and a great NBA player for a long time, but maybe not somebody who you want to turn to for regular rotation minutes
at this point. I still think if he has a week where he's hitting the 3, he does bring some connective playmaking that he's capable of doing. I think he can operate a dribble handoff. I think he, at his best, can be somewhat switchable on defense. It's just none of that's really happening right now. And he's not hitting shots either, so it hasn't been great.
Like the switchability on defense is not just going to come. And like if he starts hitting outside shots, then the dribble handoff becomes more potent. Then the playmaking becomes better because you have to come up to him, and that creates just more space on the floor for him to actually do those things. So like the 3-point shot is the only way forward on that end. On the other end, I just don't like
with the way the Cavs are trying to play on defense too.
With them trying
to play faster.
Yeah.
If it was more of a like seasons previous, stay at home, play in the drop, Nance could maybe still hang in that. But when they're trying to play fast, generate turnovers, I mean, maybe he'll surprise us, but the results haven't been good so far.
One of the things that I said about Nance when he was here the first time, that was sort of like his biggest like shortcoming was the fact that he was a 4 on defense, but a 5 on offense. And that combination is really dangerous when you are losing that extra step because he cannot protect the paint. I mean, he cannot protect the rim as before. He never really could be like the rim protector. He was a 4, but he cannot stay with 4s in the modern NBA right now, just because he's lost that step. And then on the other side, when you don't have that athletic burst, you're not able to be the 5 on offense. So he's just kind of in a tough spot, and we will see good Larry Nance games. It's just, you know, this is going to be more nights. Like, this is not the exception. I think this is the norm.
Yeah. That's going to do it for this episode of the Junkyard Pod. Thank you for watching or listening. Make sure you subscribe, drop a like, leave us a comment. And with all that being said, go Cavs.
I agree. Go Cavs. Shout out to Fraud Schmidt.